Women's career path in supply chain and logistics. Joining us today to speak about that, Victoria Ma, Head of Digital Innovation at Miebach Consulting. Victoria, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you, Russell.
Victoria, when you look back over, say, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years or so, when you look at the fields of engineering, look at supply chain, look at logistics, what is it that you see in terms of women in those fields? What have you seen? What have you experienced?
So my experience has been first, this is a field or industry that the ratio for men versus women in the workforce is a little bit to the extreme. I remember when I first started working, oftentimes I found myself being the only woman in a meeting, even internally with our own company or with our client. Um, but that has changed in the recent years. Even using our own company as example, we're now 50-50. And then in trade shows, in client meetings, I found I'm in interaction with more and more women in this field. So I think there has been changes in the past 10 years, but there are still challenges and hurdles that for women to progress in this field in supply chain logistics.
Well, when we look at these individual areas, engineering itself, which may not
Mhm.
necessarily always be in supply chain, and then of course in supply chain and in a more specific area of logistics, is what you have just outlined what you have seen throughout those areas?
Yeah, I think there are actually differences between engineering in supply chain versus overall supply chain, let's say planning and design. And the challenges for women are different. I have some example from my colleague who are a pure engineer and we work in industrial engineering, right? And it happened to her in a trade show. Someone talked to her and start to explain the racking design we did and suddenly paused and looked into her eyes and said, "Oh, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about." This is in the engineering world. And then in supply chain, when we interact with women in planning or senior leadership for overall supply chain organization, it's a different type of profile, I believe. And I think I've seen women with higher similarities in higher positions in supply chain compared to men. So I think it's a different type of sub-industry differences for women's profile here.
Mhm. Now, as opposed to just raw numbers of women being hired, what about in actual positions of authority? What about top level management positions? What kind of entry are you seeing women making in those areas in supply chain and logistics?
Yeah, I actually like to use it to continue the last question. It's actually different by the area of focus. I've seen more and more women taking senior leadership in the area of maybe supply chain design, supply chain planning, and overall distribution responsibilities. But if we're talking about senior positions in engineering operation, I think the ratio is still different. We have more women in the strategic positions and less women in the engineering positions in the supply chain,
Mhm.
even on the senior level.
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about hurdles that are continuing. Um, right now, in this very very important field. I mean, what field is more important than supply chain and logistics these days? After all, what are the hurdles though that women are continuing to encounter? Walk us through that. What are you seeing?
Yeah. What's hot in supply chain nowadays? Automation, data, right? And AI, all those topics. I think the hurdles are also different. Using my colleague's example, one of the hurdle is being seen with the credibility of an engineer when we're developing solutions in the detail operations using our engineering background. I think that is a hurdle that they're having, and a lot of, even including myself and my colleagues, we feel that when we voice up, we need to put extra effort for us to be heard because of the credibility we need to gain as an engineer. In terms of data and also in terms of AI, I think the hurdle for women is similar, but in order to be heard for new opinions and new innovation, new technology, we need to be stronger. Let's say even voice louder than what we may be naturally comfortable about. That's a different type of hurdle. It's really be stronger and speak up for ourselves to gain the extra credibility that we need to have compared to maybe a neutral background.
So let's talk about empowering women as we go forward. What is necessary to give women the tools or the support or whatever it may be that they need if they are looking to become industry leaders in these areas? What do they need? Walk us through that.
Yeah. Actually, I would like to answer both on what we can do for women ourselves to empower ourselves, but also what overall society, the industry can do for women from the other side of the gender.
Okay.
For sure, I think there are already a lot of seminars and organizations help us to grow career and then share story of women how to balance our own profile of different personality to be stronger, balance family and work. Let's continue to do that for sure. There are a lot of gender equality program in corporate to measure and try to promote more women in supply chain work positions. But I also would like to voice maybe we can also do on the other side general education for giving women the credibility to see us like we are good engineers in terms of technical skills, in terms of supply chain knowledge, experience. We are a equal start, and then that give us more room to show diversity also in the progression to the senior leadership. We don't only need to be women who can that be strong to speak of ourselves to take the senior leadership, but we're welcome all different profile, different personalities, right? We should appreciate this diversity in supply chain, even in leadership positions.
That is a great view, I must say, and a very, very important area in, as I say, this important area of supply chain. Nothing more important in the world today, in my view. Victoria, I know you are busy here at this conference, but you found time to talk about this issue with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's Victoria Ma, Miebach Consulting, speaking with us today about women, their career path in supply chain and logistics. Thank you for watching.